Hi guys, welcome back to your favorite review show here on YouTube. I'm Grayson Tate. I do this every single week. I just review things that I'm interested in. I walk you guys through things that I've noticed, and I love responding to your comments. So if you have any questions from today's episode, or you have anything that you want me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments below. Because today we are going to be reviewing the long-awaited Xbox ROG Ally X. Allegedly a portable Xbox, a portable PC gaming experience plus the magic and the put togetherness of Xbox, which, spoiler, it absolutely isn't. Okay, before we get into all the nitty gritty details, you need to know that I am a gamer, love gaming since college. It's the only thing that turns off my brain. It always shocks everybody that I know that I like to play video games. And to be honest, I'm very consistent. I will play a bunch of different games on the Switch, but when it comes to the Xbox, it was the only and first console I bought for myself in college, and I bought it so I could play Halo, and now I play Halo, Destiny, and Overwatch 2 specifically. And before y'all come for me in the comments, if you are a gamer, this might not be the video for you. This is the video from the perspective of somebody who has never PC gamed, only owned an Xbox, and knows a lot about tech, but not necessarily gaming. And for me, I was interested in the ROG Ally X specifically because of the Xbox branding and all of the hype from Microsoft surrounding how different and optimized this experience is, or is supposed to be. I figured I would do this video this week because I don't do a lot of gaming content on this channel, but if you are like me and you are interested in mobile gaming and you own an Xbox, you own a PlayStation, and you don't know anything about PC gaming, that is the lens I'm going to be doing this review from because it's the lens that I live. And I think the marketing of the ROG Xbox Ally X is really misleading based off of where this device is today. Now, starting right up at the top, the design is like a lot of mobile handhelds with a bright, relatively vivid screen on the front. The major difference being these handles because they mimic the shape and the design of Xbox handles, which I'm really used to because I've been using one for so long. But to be honest, this design, especially for the $1,000 asking price, is really cheap. I'm not particularly into this industrial design. There's some gaming elements here on the back. This is where some of the air intakes, this is metallic, and even on the front, you have the same type of cutout for the speakers right here, but even the texture itself on the front of the device has Xbox ROG spelled out, and there's just something not very premium about it, and it doesn't feel particularly good in the hand. I mean, especially for $1,000, they could have put the rubber grips on the back of the handles right here, just like the other controllers, but they didn't. Also, just kind of a small note that annoys me, the joystick rings light up, but I hope you can tell if there's one LED at the top and one at the bottom. There's not LEDs surrounding the entire side. So it looks fine and they get relatively bright, but when you're paying $1,000 for a device, once again, I would expect all of these buttons to feel a lot better and even the lights to be better and more interesting and be able to do better gradients and stuff like that. So this is a cheap feeling design, but I can get past this because of the software and the experience. But if you've seen other review videos, you will know that there are a ton of issues with the software, and I'm actually going to show you exactly how unusable it is because in its current state, I think it's completely unfinished and the Xbox branding doesn't make any sense. So let's go over to the other camera. So here we are. This is the Xbox full screen experience, and this device was sold as a way to just use the Xbox experience without having to go into Windows. So it largely looks like what you would expect on your Xbox at home, but there are a couple of differences that don't make a ton of sense to me. The first one being the fact that Xbox games like Halo Infinite from Microsoft, from Xbox Studios, is not fully optimized for this device. And this is the first place you'll see it. You can see my cursors moving left and right here. If I go ahead and select the play button and I hit the A button, nothing happens for a couple seconds. Then it loads. And that's if it loads. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've opened Halo specifically. That button will do nothing when I try to hit play, so I have to touch the touch screen. And then Halo will load for about 5 minutes and it's crashed 6 times. I've only gotten it to load and play twice. And then all of a sudden we get some random error message. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit continue because it can't find the graphics of the device. And we're back where we started, even though the device tells me that it's running. So then now all of a sudden something's happening, and I guess now it's running. Really poorly at that. I mean, even the intro video is 3 frames a second. Not to mention the fact that for the device of this price, the build quality is so odd to me where you have really big bezels on the bottom, smaller on the side and then big bezels on the top, so the whole thing feels kind of out of balance when you're staring at it. Also, another piece that I still have not even figured out yet is what all of these buttons here and here do. Because you would expect, okay, if I press the Xbox button, it's going to open this different Xbox menu that doesn't match the one that's on console, which I don't know why they'd make that decision. So then I can scroll around with the buttons and nothing's happening. So I guess it just froze. A small thing, you'll notice it says 6:42 a.m. in the top right corner, and I cannot change the clock no matter how many times I do it. It keeps going back to this, which I actually have to change the time in Windows settings, which is even harder. When I press the console settings button, this is what we get, where we can adjust a couple of settings. But if I want to adjust more settings or Windows settings, because this runs a full operating system, I have to go into a different settings panel to do so. We've got this one where now I can turn off the mic. Now I can show the keyboard. If I want to, I can go to more settings for the console itself, and it gives me a link to open Windows settings right here at the bottom. Then on the other side, you get two buttons that look almost identical. This is the menu button that you would expect on an Xbox controller that opens the menus in most games, but not all of them. And then this other button right up here just takes you back to your library in the Xbox full screen experience, which is what you would expect to happen, but then getting back to your game is very difficult. You actually have to use the touchscreen. There is no hardware control to do this, to get to the multitasking view, to then go back to your game. To be honest, I don't even know if I'm going to show you playing the game because it plays fine. There's a ton of screen tearing and there's a ton of dropped frames in games that are not perfectly supported for this device. Which, for a first-time consumer of this type of device and gaming PCs, is such a confusing move that I cannot understand it at all. Because if you're going to brand this device an Xbox device, you better be able to run all of the Xbox games from the Xbox store, but that's not always the case. And most of the time, even when they're supported, I would have to go into Windows settings or install some driver or other option to make the game fully work. And that's not even to mention the amount of time it took me to set up this device. When I fully was just trying to set it up and just get Halo on there, which I thought would be easy, it took 2 hours to update and to get everything set up the right way. And that's coming from a person who loves tech and knows what I'm doing. So in summary, the Xbox ROG Ally X is just not a finished product, which you probably heard before. If you want to see gaming tests, there will be plenty of them online. I was able to play Halo finally and Overwatch at high settings with 120 frames per second refresh rate on the screen, and I never saw more than 80 frames a second, and I was still seeing screen tearing even at that level. So it definitely works. It is not particularly enjoyable, especially when my 5-year Xbox Series X connected to my TV can do 120 frames of gaming every single time with software I've never had a single issue with. The thing that confuses me the most about this device is the Xbox branding and the fact that it doesn't just run Xbox software. I understand that some gamers want the ability to install other stores and to be able to use the Windows full experience, but I'm not one of those people, and I wish I was offered the option to literally just have a smaller Xbox that's not connected to my TV. So in final summary, I do not think it's worth it at all right now, and especially because this is the more expensive version. There is a less expensive version that comes in a white color, and I actually was going to review that one in tandem with the X, with the black version, and the reviews that came out right before I was working on mine were so poor I didn't even go through the bother of setting it up because it's apparently almost unusable and it's not optimized at all. And when this version is not very usable and it's on much more powerful hardware, I really was not going to waste my time. I mean, total side note, I don't understand how you Windows people do it. There were so many settings and so many dialogue items, so many things that I had to do for a device that should just function like a game console. It really felt like an old clunky computer. So that is this week's episode of this show. I really hope that this was helpful for some of you guys, especially as a first-time PC gamer handheld user. I'm really not impressed, but I definitely see the potential. I'd say we're probably 3 to 5 years away from gaming handhelds being like the mainstream and being incredibly powerful and well built. So I understand that this is just one step of getting there, but it's not a step that I particularly want to take. Of course, if you guys have any comments, please leave them below. If you've gotten to this point of the video, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!